Hare Krishna, I welcome everybody to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have HG Braj Mohan prabhuji to enlighten us on topic Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto 23rd chapter 28th verse. Hare Krishna prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much prabhuji for joining and giving us your illustration and enlightening us in this topic. We are very fortunate to have you on the call Prabhu. Please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, chapter the creation of the fourth order, chapter 23. Maharaj Pitu's going back home. Text number 28. Savanchito batatmatra krishena mahata bhuvi labdva pavantra manusham vishayeshu visajjate. Vishayeshu visajjate. Saha he, Vanchita, cheated, Bata certainly, Atmadruk, envious of himself, Krichrena with great difficulty, Mahata by great activities, Bhuvi in this world, Labdva by achieving, Apavargyam, the path of liberation, Manushyam in the human form of life, Visheshu in the matter of sense gratification, Visajjate becomes engaged. Translation. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who after obtaining a human form of life which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult tasks of fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Comfort by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve little success in sense gratification. The karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities, and thus they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries, etc. In other words, they are engaged in performing very costly sacrifices in order to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Similarly, yogis are engaged in achieving a similar goal by accepting the tedious practices of mystic yoga. Jnanis are engaged in philosophical speculation in order to gain release from the clutches of material nature. In these ways, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for the gratification of the senses. All of these are considered to be engaged in the sense gratificatory activities or Vishaya because they all demand some facility for material existence. Actually, the results of such activities are temporary. As Krishna himself proclaims in Bhagavad Gita 7.23, Antavattu phalam tesham, the fruits of those who worship the demigods are limited and temporary. Thus, the fruits of the activities of the yogis, karmis and jnanis are ephemeral. Moreover, Krishna says, Tad bhavati alpamedasa. They are simply meant for men of small intelligence. The word Vishaya denotes sense gratification. The karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. The yogis also want sense gratification, but they want it to a higher degree. It is their desire to show some miraculous results through the practice of yoga. Thus they strive very hard to achieve success in becoming smaller than the smallest or greater than the greatest, or in creating a planet like Earth, or as scientists by inventing so many wonderful machines. Similarly, the jnanis are also engaged in sense gratification, for they are simply interested in becoming one with the Supreme. Thus, the aim of all these activities is sense gratification to a higher or lower degree. The bhaktas, however, are not interested in sense gratificatory activities. They are simply satisfied to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. Although they are satisfied in any condition, there is nothing they cannot obtain, because they are purely engaged in the service of the Lord. The wives of the demigods condemn the performers of sense gratificatory activities as vanchita, cheated. Those who engage are actually killing themselves, atmaha, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20-17. Hridehamadyam sulabam sudurlabam plavam sukalpam kuru karnadharam mayanukulena navastvate ritam puman bhavabhyam nataretsa atmaha. When one wants to cross a large ocean, he creates a strong boat. It is said that this human form of life is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. In the human form of life, one can obtain the guidance of a good navigator, the spiritual master. One also gets a favorable wind by the mercy of Krishna, and that wind is the instructions of Krishna. The human body is the boat. The instructions of Lord Krishna are the favorable winds, and the spiritual master is the navigator. The spiritual master knows well how to adjust the sails to catch the winds favorably and steer the boat to its destination. If, however, one does not take advantage of this opportunity, one wastes the human form of life. Wasting time and life in this way is the same as committing suicide. The word labdvapavargyam is significant in this verse, because according to Jiva Goswami, apavargyam, or the path of liberation, does not refer to merging into the existence of Brahman, but to Salokya Siddhi, which means attaining the very planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. There are 5 kinds of liberation, and one is called Sayujya Mukti, or merging into the existence of the Supreme, or the impersonal Brahman effulgence. However, since there is a chance of one's falling down again into the material sky from the Brahman effulgence, Srila Jiva Goswami advises that in this human form of life, one's only aim should be to go back home, back to Godhead. The words savanchita indicate that once a person has obtained the human form of life, he is actually cheated if he does not make preparations to go back home, back to Godhead. The position of all non-devotees who are not interested in going back to Godhead is very much lamentable, for the human form of life is meant for executing devotional service and nothing else. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manomishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Just 2 minutes. I need to pick up some water. Just 2 minutes.
Prabhuji, can you start your video?
I started off.
Are you on YouTube? Because I don't see in like FCC, I don't see you.
Mataji, Prabhuji is getting some water for him, and then he.
There's some issue with streaming. I'm not able to activate it. Both on.
That's okay, Prabhu. No need to streaming, but just start your video on FCC.
Yeah, I started that. That is all.
No.
But we cannot see how Komati ki Mataji is able to see. I'm not understanding.
No. Komodaki Mataji is also not seeing. Nobody seeing. Because Prabhuji has not started video.
Oh, okay. I didn't press the button start video. Can you all see now?
Now we can see.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So as Mataji was introducing that to thank all the devotees for being here on this Japa conference call. And it's my great fortune to be speaking to all the devotees that so sincerely come every day for chanting together and hearing together. Today is Sankranti here, and I guess for you too. So happy Sankranti to all of you. A very special day, both from cultural point of view and also devotional point of view. Today was the day where Lord Chaitanya took sannyas on this particular day, and today is the day when Mother Ganga for the first time met the ocean when she came when she descended from the heavenly abode by the efforts of Bhagirath Maharaj. And today is also the day when Bhishma was waiting for this day. Bhishma left on the day of Bhishmashtami, which comes a little later, but he was waiting for the Uttarayan to start, when sun starts to go towards the north. And from Gita Jayanti till which is Mokshada Ekadashi, for 18 days the Kurukshetra war happened, and after that Yudhishthira Maharaj was in severe depression or the confusion that just for my sake so many soldiers have been killed, and the fear or the confusion that Arjuna had before the battlefield, Yudhishthira Maharaj had after the battle got over, and nobody could console him, including Lord Krishna. Of course, it was Lord Krishna's plan, and then he brings them to Bhishma Dev, lying on this bed of arrows, and he was only waiting to see Pandavas reinstated as kings of the planet Earth, and also he was waiting for the darshan of Lord Krishna, and as he was gazing at Lord Krishna's beautiful face, he wanted to leave the body. So approximately almost for around 1 month, the discussions between Bhishma and Yudhishthira Maharaj continue. It is a big section in the Mahabharata, and one of the things that Yudhishthira Maharaj asked is that I have 2 hands, I have 2 legs, and everybody that is supposed to be citizens also are pretty much the same type of beings are there. Then if we are all equal in all these respects, why should I rule over them? Why is there a need to rule on this planet? Why can't everybody? Why should someone else monitor what someone else is doing? Because nobody is superior to anyone else. As you know, when Yudhishthir Maharaj and Duryodhana was sent by Dronacharya when they were in Gurukul. When they were in the Gurukul, this was the same question that was asked to both. Not the same question, but the exercise that field activity for Yudhishthir Maharaj was to go and find out if there is any person inferior to you. And Yudhishthir Maharaj comes back empty-handed, saying that there is nobody inferior to me, because he saw everybody as Paramatma in them, and he was Samadarshi, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavyastane, Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadarshana. So he was able to see everybody in an equal light, and nobody as inferior to him. In Duryodhana, he was given this field activity that go and find out somebody who is superior than me. And he also came back empty-handed, saying that there is nobody who is superior to me. Everybody has some bad quality or other, or at least he was perceiving that he is greater than. So this is the effect of arrogance, that you are not able to see the bad in you and the good in others. And the symptom of humility that Yudhishthir Maharaj was exhibiting was that he was seeing only bad in him and good in others. So even during this time, during the Bhishma, in the Magh month, now Pausha has started. So during the Pausha Sankranti time, he was very much bereaving, lamenting that because of me wanting to be the king, so many have been killed. So he asked this question, that why should anyone rule anyone else? And then Bhishma starts to explain that when in the Satyuga there was there was no need of ruling, because everybody was so cultured and everybody was so fixed on attaining spiritual elevation, progress, that nobody was interfering to anyone's activities. But as things started to degrade, then they had to be made some structures and systems, which is the administrative system, which is the Kshatriya, Brahmanas. Of course, that whole discussion I had one of my Bhagavatam class I discussed the discussion between Bhishma and Yudhishthir Maharaj. So about Raja Dharma, about Stri Dharma, about so many dharmas, he asks, he inquires, and then he gets clarification. And once Yudhishthir Maharaj was completely satisfied, then fixed in again be willing to follow the will of the Lord, then Bhishma focused on the Lord, like he went in the last moment, he was serving, Bhishma was serving Krishna's desire to help his devotees, Yudhishthir Maharaj, be fixed in Krishna consciousness. And once that service was done, then he, as he was meditating on on Lord Krishna, Padmanabha, he went back to the spiritual world. So today is a special occasion for many reasons. So we'll also discuss some more things about today, but first let us focus on what the verse and this section of the Bhagavatam is trying to teach us. And usually when we see a verse, read a verse, if we are not aware of the context in which we are reading a verse, many times the Bhagavatam verses seem to be repetitive or not something very striking. And it's just like when you are driving, then almost everything appears to be the same kind of road, and but only when you have a greater perspective above the road, you understand that this is a different road than the one which I just came. The same way, the Bhagavatam verses also have to be looked upon with the context in which the text is being presented, and that's when the text becomes very powerful. Although the text in itself is very powerful verses, these verses that anybody can pick up Srimad Bhagavatam at any page, open up and get benefited. Just like this verse, even without understanding the context, what the purport is explaining is that so much of our energy, of human energy, is spent in trying to achieve sense gratification, in trying to satisfy the senses, in trying to be free from the miseries. But this verse says, somebody who attains the human form, Manushyam, he has attained the human form, but he being Atmadruk, he being envious of himself. Now, how can somebody be envious of himself? But this is what the verse says. The verse says that he must be considered to be cheated and envious of himself. So if you are not utilizing this opportunity that has been given to you, so then you are cheating yourself and you are being envious of yourself. I'm sure none of you must have ever heard this kind of statement, that being envious of oneself, because the glory and the credit that can come to us by elevating in Krishna consciousness, by reaching the Supreme Lord's abode, is so great that the corrupted mind, the corrupted intelligence don't allow the soul to progress. They keep putting so many different types of obstacles for our own progress. Therefore, so many acharyas pray to our own mind that it is not somebody else who is stopping our progress. It is we ourselves, our corrupted, our understanding, our wrong perception of bhakti, of devotees, is what is stopping us. And Krichrena, and he takes up very great difficulties. Mahata Bhuvi. And Krishna Prabhupada explains all these gigantic factories, big cities that are being constructed. How much energy, human energy, goes in coming up with all this. There was some research that was when they were trying to make the organic molecules of the DNA. It was almost like, I think, the helix, the double helix. So they were trying to emulate it, repeat it. Something that is found so common, so abundantly in nature. They want. So around 100 countries participated in this research, and around 800 to 700 scientists had put all their efforts in trying to come up with this solution, with this, and finally they came up with this double helix model. But just coming up with the double helix, just one, if it takes so much of effort, is it really worth it? Because in nature we see that it is being produced abundantly. Life, without even our awareness, it's happening. So as they say that, why do such a task which is already being done? But Atmadruk also means not just envious of ourselves, but also envious of God. Being envious of God, the living entity tries to show to itself and to others around him or her that we don't need God. We can do it ourselves, and they try to achieve the same kind of things that we get through the process of bhakti, which is liberation, which is freedom from all miseries, without taking to Krishna consciousness. So people want the benefits of Ramarajya, but people don't want Ram. People want the benefits of meditation or peace without going through the process. People want the benefits of health without going through exercise. They don't want to follow. Therefore Krishna also says Abhidhi Purvakam. Everybody wants that ultimate goal, but they make that as the goal and they don't take the route that the Lord is giving, promising. For the devotees, especially the pure devotees, for them the goal that all these materialists are aspiring is not even a goal. The goal is actually to serve Krishna, and a byproduct of serving Krishna is what all these materialists are trying to get. So therefore here in this particular verse is actually being spoken by the heavenly queens, the heavenly ladies. They are seeing something spectacular, something amazing is happening on the earth planet. What is that? Prithu Maharaj, the emperor of the planet, after whom Prithvi is named, leaves his very comfortable home and he goes to the forest, and he takes up with same kind of eagerness the detachment, the practice of austerities, as he was taking up enjoying the having the facilities and ruling the kingdom. And then he starts to cut down. He starts to reduce his eating, and just focus more and more. And it's explained that he just was taking some dry leaves, and his wife also followed him, because Vanaprastha stage, the wife also accompanies the husband to the forest. But it's not that Archie was just there in the forest, but she wasn't following the same plan as her husband. She was also performing the austerities along with her husband in all this, and the Bhagavatam says the only way she was sustaining is that sometimes her husband Prithu would look at her in between his meditation, and sometimes he used to talk to her or inquire about her well-being. But other than that, there was literally no, although they were in the forest, there was no any kind of sense gratification or social gatherings that they were trying to go into. And especially it is said in the verses before this that she sustained herself by the respect that was given by Prithu and occasional touch of his hands. So although the time he was spending with her was less, but the respect that he was giving to her wasn't less. And this is also an important aspect, that it was not Prithu because he was doing so many austerities. He was kind of demeaning or not giving respect, because usually when we perform a lot of tapasya, say you are doing nirjal, it becomes difficult to genuinely respect those that are not doing nirjal. Say you are chanting more 16 rounds, 32 rounds, 64 rounds, then it becomes difficult for you to respect somebody that is not at that stage yet. But Prithu Maharaj he was respecting that her sincere intent to be there with him, and she was doing her best, whatever she can, and she was going through all intense austerities. But because of this, she did not feel any much pain, because there was that affection, that dedication, affection from Prithu Maharaj, and dedication from Archie. And Archie, once Prithu Maharaj, as he was meditating, he left his body, she prepared the funeral pyre, and she also prepared to also go with him. And when they saw that as she was entering this funeral pyre, not in separation from her husband, but completely focusing on the lotus feet of the Lord, as they say that the real way you can value your master is when you master the values that he has taught. There is often a sentimental or superficial glorification of the spiritual master or those devotees whom we are admiring, that we can, yes, we may jump up and down, or we may make lot of bhoga on their appearance days or different things. But real valuing of the master is when we follow in the footsteps of the master. The teachings, the values that he is trying to give us, that we actually try to imbibe them. And any disciple, any assistant that is consistent with this mood, that I need to develop the qualities, as I'll never be at the stage that my master is at, but this is what is real. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, was also very much happy with Srila Prabhupada, because he understood the heart of his Guru. And he wrote that beautiful poem, absolutely sentient, thou hast not proved, thou hast proved, impersonal calamity, thou hast removed. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur heard this poem, it was so pleasing to him, because he was not just eulogizing without understanding the real heart of the spiritual master, but he understood because he heard very attentively. And because he heard very attentively, he, by the grace of his Guru, he grabs the essential message. The same way here, Archie, the Bhagavatam explains that she performed all the necessary rituals and offered all the respects to the devatas. It's not that, okay, now that because I am become a pure devotee, or I am following a pure devotee, I won't follow the usual protocols or the methods that are followed at the time of leaving the body. So she offered a gratitude to all the devatas, because the way Prithu Maharaj left was that he dissolved his subtle existence first. His subtle body of mind, intelligence and ego was totally spiritualized. And the section explains that the purpose of later half of life is actually this. The first half of our life is to form a proper identity for ourselves, proper place, proper contribution in the society, and the later half is to remove ourselves from all that identity that we have established, which actually is a greater task, is a much difficult task, because the different aspects of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are based on our proclivities. when we start to live by them, there's a great sense of harmony and satisfaction we experience. So many times it becomes difficult to give up that. But Prithu Maharaj, he gave up his identification with material things, even those that are favorable. One of the things that is explained in the verses is that it requires jnana and vairagya to develop bhakti, to give up all the material designations. But once you give up material designations, he also gave up jnana and vairagya. Because if he still sticks to them, then he will not be able to experience full-fledged bhakti. So, in life there are some things that are only helpful for some time. If we extend their stay in our life, then they start to become painful. Just like food. Food is good when you cook it on the day, or maybe if you keep it in the fridge or refrigerator, maybe for a few more days. Food is good in the body for a few hours. But anything stays more than its stipulated period of time, instead of giving pleasure, instead of giving happiness, it actually becomes a cause of worry, and it like your body gets disease and other things. So same way, the body is a necessary medium for going to the spiritual world, especially human life, human form of life. And nowadays, even the first step to form a proper identity is not even happening, because we just get overwhelmed by what the society expects of us rather than what is our swadharma. But once we reach there, then the next of is to, from swadharma to sanatana dharma, you have to also stop identifying with your material mind, intelligence and ahankar. And Prithu Maharaj, in the verses, it explains that he wonderfully did that. And this is what Bhaktivedanta Maharaj also wrote one of his books. The book name is the Die Before You Die. And the whole understanding is that you have to internally connect to Krishna. The internal material aspirations have to die before you die. If before dying, if the inner core, just like a coconut shell, if it is still connected to that coconut pulp, when the coconut shell breaks, the inner thing also breaks. Right? We all, especially at least in India, you have seen that when you break a coconut, if the inner shell is still attached to the outer shell, then both break. But when it gets dried up, then the inner shell becomes separated from the outer shell. And sometimes if you shake it, you actually can hear noise. And then when you break it, when you break the outer shell, the inner shell is intact. So, die before you die, that the second half of our life is to remove all the material identifications or the places where we find shelter in the material realm, to remove all that and place it on exclusively on Krishna. So Prithu Maharaj, he did all these processes amazingly. But for Archie, all these are not explained. Wow. She just sincerely served her husband. And even in the deity worship, is in Sanskrit is called as Archa Seva. So very apt name for Archie here, that she actually very devotedly served her husband and actually understood the goal. It was not just a blind service, but she also achieved the same kind of result that Prithu Maharaj achieved, that she was able to meditate completely on the lotus feet of the Lord. And then as she sat on the funeral pile along with her husband, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, the devatas and especially the wives of the demigods became very much surprised and amazed at this scene. And they said that Archie is served her husband Prathu Maharaj so wonderfully, just like Lakshmi worshipped Lord Vishnu. They compared her to, of course, Archie was Lakshmi Devi's incarnation, because Prathu Maharaj was Lord Vishnu's incarnation, Shaktavish avatar. And another thing they were amazed was that she has surpassed even us in following all these principles that she was doing, and that too being a resident of the earth, because the earth planet is in the middle, and the way earth planet is designed is that there is no extreme happiness nor extreme misery. The lower planets is filled with a lot of misery, the higher planets is filled with a lot of pleasures, and both places become very distractive in focusing on Krishna. But the earth planet is the ideal combination of pleasure and pain, by which if we are really determined, we can actually focus on Krishna, on the real purpose of life. So therefore they start to say that if she can achieve this way, what are we doing here? Because we are supposed to be going up, but we are stuck on these heavenly planets, not able to progress as much as if we would have taken a human form of life. And then they start to glorify the human birth, that wish we also had human birth, and we have been cheated by coming to the heavenly planets, because we have had to do so many austerities and so many yajnas to come to the heavenly planets. The number of so many Ashwamedha yajnas, so many pious credits for so many lives, and unless you have that, you cannot get there. Just like it's like credit card. Only like if you want entrance into these clubs, say in airports we have all these lounges, like premium lounges. Only if you have a particular card or if you have particular status in society, you can actually go there. Otherwise you may be in the airport, but you cannot go into these lounges for relaxing. And suppose somebody is in the lounge and he gets very nice facilities, but the purpose of the airport is actually to help you to take to another place very nicely and quickly. And somebody becomes so absorbed or distracted in the lounge, all the facilities in the lounge, that he forgets to take the flight, that he misses the announcement, the boarding announcement. The same way here, the wives of the Deva Patnis, they are saying that we have been cheated because we didn't get this human birth, and those that are in human birth, those that are in human life, yes, we are in the lounge, we got distracted, but somebody is sitting just next to the boarding gate, but he is busy in his mobile or in his gadget, and being busy in his gadget, he forgets to actually go and board the flight. So such a person is cheating himself. And what is he doing? He is trying to come to our place, that how can I get lounge access? How can I get access to these higher heavenly pleasures? Not understanding that when you can achieve something that is beyond the realm of material limitations, why not endeavor for that? Why if you have some particular money, if in one effort you can make X amount of profit, and another you can make say 1,000 times more the profit. You will definitely invest there where there is much more profit. Same way the time we have has to be invested properly, and the Bhagavatam presents us in this way so that we learn a lesson that, see, if even the heavenly beings are desiring something that you already have, why are you so much after what they have? If what you have, it's not like a material kind of thing that everybody has something but everybody wants something else that they don't have. It's not just like that. The demigods are desiring heavenly the birth in a human species so that they can actually transcend the material world. And that is where this verse comes, Savanchito Bhatatmadrak, that such a person and we ourselves are being cheated, that we cheated ourselves because we have taken up great austerities, great difficulties. And sometimes you will see this, that some organizations, some spiritual societies, they are often much more regulated and in their practices and the kind of austerities they did or their aspirations. But somehow although we didn't aspire much, we have somehow been placed in the right place, in the right association, right knowledge, so that we are able to go towards that ultimate goal to please the Supreme Lord. So we are very fortunate. So, and the most unfortunate person, as Srila Prabhupada explains, is not somebody who has not come to bhakti, but somebody who has come to bhakti but not understood the glory of bhakti, what has been given to us, and we just waste it away, the time that we have in all the different attempts for sense gratification. And so this was the message that the Srila Prabhupada and this particular section is trying to give us. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took sannyas on this particular day, similarly seeing that how human society is just wasting their time and energy in different material pursuits. Somebody is pursuing knowledge, somebody is pursuing sense gratification, somebody is just pursuing liberation, but none of these are the real needs of the soul. The real need of the soul is Jivera Swarupa Nityara Krishnadas, is to be an eternal servant of the Lord. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was experiencing so much compassion that he left his well settled reputation in Navadvip as one of the biggest, greatest scholars. He had a loving community around him, devotees. There was nobody that was harassing him or trying to find faults with him among the devotees. But there were only very few people that didn't really understand in Navadvip about what Mahaprabhu is doing. But otherwise he was surrounded by very loving community. His father had already passed away. I was reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, in that when Jagannath Mishra passes away, both Sachi Mata and Nimai weep so helplessly and so piteously, because just few years before, their elder son Vishwambar had left the home, and that itself was such a big shock to Jagannath Mishra that he stopped the studies of Vishwambar. When Vishwarup left, he said that if he studies, he'll understand this material world is a temporary place, there is no happiness in this, and he will not marry. So therefore better no, better he doesn't study. And that section comes when Sachimata asks that, then how will he make money? How will he live? Then he says that, look at me, I am such for the some call had come. So when Sachimata was also widowed, her elder son had left, her husband had left, and his second wife, Vishnu Priya, Lakshmi Priya, had already left in separation when he went to Gaya. So he had seen 3 deaths in his family out of separation. But not 3 deaths, 2 deaths, and one person Vishwarup leaving the house. And in spite of that, and 2 lady, young, just teenage wife, 16 years old, and old mother at home who only depended on him, he left to save all the conditioned souls like us. And that was done today. And there is a particular ghat in Mayapur called as Nidhaya Ghat. That was a place from where Mahaprabhu crossed the Ganga to reach Katwa, where he took sannyas. And the name of the place is Nidhaya. Daya means compassion, and Nidaya means no compassion. So it comes from that word Nirdaya, that no compassion, Ghat. So Mahaprabhu had literally no compassion for his family members or those that were such a loving community, that he left all of them to go and take sannyas. But the actual meaning of Nirdaya Ghat is that Nirdaya also means a compassion that cannot be understood, or nothing can be compared to the compassion that Mahaprabhu exhibited. So therefore Nirdaya also means that. So in our Mayapur Yatra we had gone there, very beautiful place, and Gaurampu had given a beautiful talk there. And in Navadvip, also today is especially in US, tomorrow it is for us, today in US is the disappearance day of Jayadev Goswami. He was also a resident of Navadvip. He was living at a place called as Champahati, and as he was worshipping the Lord in Champahati, one day he suddenly sees the same Krishna that he was worshipping. He appeared instead of a blackish form but in a golden form. This was 300 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and he was mesmerized by this golden form of Krishna, and both he and his wife, they prostrated their obeisances and they asked the Lord to reveal that what is this manifestation that is showing them. Then he explains that this is the form in which I am going to appear 300 years later, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and I am going to deliver everybody, and I am going to relish in my most intimate times the books that you will be writing, Gita Govinda. And he empowers Jayadev Goswami to write these books. And he also tells them that you please go to Jagannath Puri and reside there, and at the last days of and after you both leave your body, you will again come to Champahati and you will stay there. And Champa flower, they are available in India, they are also yellowish in color. So the story explains that Mahaprabhu had appeared in the same color that with which he was, the flowers that he was offering to him to serve every day. Then another story of Jayadev Goswami comes is when he was writing Gita Govinda, that one section, this is Gita Govinda is basically when just before Rasa dance, the separation and the anguish and the anxiety that Srimati Radharani was feeling because of separation was written by by Jayadeva Goswami as this book. And Mahaprabhu used to relish the books of Chandidas and Jayadeva Goswami and Vidyapati, and the book explains that all these poets were great devotees and they were all empowered by Mahaprabhu. So the same love that he was going to manifest later when he actually appears was manifested in their hearts, so that they could come up with this book, so that when he comes, he can actually release those books, those pastimes, and people can also have, those who are qualified can have access to. So the mission of Mahaprabhu starts with at least from all these great poets, including of Jayadeva Goswami. So he was wondering that there was one section where Krishna, just to beg forgiveness from Srimati Radharani, he places his head on Srimati Radharani's feet. And he was seeing this pastime and he was writing this, but he couldn't really understand that how can Srimati Radharani, how can Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, be so subservient to Srimati Radharani that he actually puts his head at her feet. Dehi Padapallavam Udaram. That was the exact word that he was supposed to write. But he wasn't feeling right in writing this. So he goes to take bath in Ganga for a break, so he can think better. But in that meantime, Krishna himself comes as Jayadeva Goswami writes the word, that line, that yes, I am the totally sold out servant of my devotees, especially Srimati Radharani, and I put my head at their feet. So he writes, and then he takes prasad that Padmavati's wife cooks, and he leaves. And when Jayadeva Goswami comes, he sees that the verse has already been written. So he asks that who came, who wrote this, and then he says, you had come just before and you took prasad. And Jayadeva Goswami immediately understands that Krishna only came and wrote this, confirming that what he was hesitating to write, that Krishna very much is eager and anxious to show himself that he was Evam Sandarshita Yanga Harina Britya Vashaka. Even in Damodar Leela, this verse comes that he is Sandarshan, he was showing to the whole world, especially to the Devatas, Harina Britya Vashaka, that he is captured, he is totally under the control of his servants, his devotees. And that was the main pastime lesson from Damodar Leela. So even to Jayadeva Goswami he revealed in this very sweet pastime. So we can pray to these great devotees that some drop of mercy comes upon us and we don't cheat ourselves this great opportunity that all the demigods are aspiring for, to get a human form of life. We have got this human form of life. We have got the great association of devotees, spiritual masters that are guiding us. So let us not waste this, and let us take this process sincerely, and let's keep our mode pure, our methods very serious, and our motivation very sincere. So, and inspire each other to keep doing very sincere devotion service. So I'll stop here and see if any devotees have any questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Very, very inspiring class, Prabhuji, and very nice example you gave about the airport and the boarding on the plane, and how we cheat ourselves by wasting our time and not surrender to Krishna. So, and also you said about the Archie, she was serving her husband like Lakshmi Devi serves Lord Vishnu. So my question is, do we have to serve like that to our husband, and actually practically speaking we cannot do that. We are just fail to do that, Prabhu. In reality is that we just keep wasting our time to find fault in husband and fighting with him. That's it.
Well, the Prabhupada in both is Devahuti and Kapila Muni, and this episode, the relationship that the spiritual master has with disciple, and the relationship that's supposed to be with the husband or the wife, apart from the social thing, is a similar relationship that one follows. But obviously in today's day and age both are not trained. The men are also not trained, because the whole Vedic system was the Brahmanas were totally sold out to Krishna, and because they were totally sold out to Krishna, anybody that followed a Brahmana, like the Kshatriyas used to follow the Brahmanas, the Vaishyas used to follow the Kshatriyas, the Shudras used to follow the Vaishyas. So in this way, it was like a train. The engine was Krishna, and the first bogie was a Brahman. So everybody was following. But when the engine is disconnected, when the bogie is disconnected from the engine, then therefore it is said, one should not become the responsibility of somebody who becomes a husband or a mother or a father, any responsible position, is that your subordinates have to be liberated. They should not take one more birth. So from both sides it has to be understood, and one should do one's role well, because Krishna ultimately sees our intention behind what we cannot follow all the qualities that are being explained or given in the scriptures. So it's not to beat ourselves, but whatever we can learn that, and at least in the relationship with the spiritual master, because at least there the other side is taken care of, that we have accepted a bona fide spiritual master, somebody who is in the line of parampara. So let's do that part well, and let's inspire each other instead of thinking who is greater, because even in just like these stipulations are given when it comes to the role of wife, same kinds of responsibilities are also given to the husband. The husband also is heavily loaded, like the Brahmana in the Bhagavatam. It is said Grahasthas have to serve the sadhus. But in the sadhu section, when Prahlad Maharaj, Narad Muni is speaking in the 7th canto, he writes there that the sadhu should not create any kind of disturbance to a householder. If he creates any kind of disturbance to a householder, then his sadhutva is reduced, is spoiled. So both kinds of things there's a whole check and balance. So it's not that there's some kind of division, but everybody has some strengths and everybody has some weaknesses. So at least in the spiritual aspect of this, we should try to follow. I'll just share one example that just recently I saw. Recently my brother had come from US, he stays in Chicago, to India, and so I was also visiting my home, and when my brother was leaving back, he wanted to give some money to my mother, my father some money and my mother some money, something like good amount of money, some thousands of rupees. But my mother said, you give to father. I don't want to take any money. My mother didn't take, and for me that was a great lesson, that This is dependence. But then the duty of the husband, for somebody who is so dependent, is to totally take care. And I've seen so much since childhood that whatever money my father used to have, he used to come and give to my mother only to take care of it. So ultimately the money, that whatever money my brother gave, my father took, but then the father gave it to my mother. So the money is with my mother, but what does she feel? This money is my husband's. Husband has given it to take care of. And the husband feels she is so dependent that let her decide what is the best. Wonderful system where no one felt that this is my thing, but both of them played their roles. Just like in Prithu Maharaj's story, he offered everything to the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas accepted that and gave everything back to Prithu Maharaj. So the Vedic system was there, but at least in the spiritual aspect, we should try to follow whatever the Bhagavatam is trying to teach us in the guru disciple, in the husband wife. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And also I like the example you gave about the coconut. Like coconut, when it's becoming dry, it gets detached from the shell.
Yes.
So we also should get detached from this material world.
Yes, that we have to die before we die. Our material dependence has to go away. Our responsibilities may not go away, but our dependence on material emotions have to shift to Krishna. Else we'll have to take one more birth, many more births. That's the message. That the Prithu Maharaj, or you serve a great soul like Archie did, very sincerely. So that's why Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati. That if somebody just develops affection for the lotus feet of the spiritual master, he attains ultimate perfection. Say Uttama Gati. So either one has to become like Prithu Maharaj, or one has to serve like Archie. And best is if we try to follow both. We try to do as much as what Prithu Maharaj is doing, and also try to do what Archie is trying to do by sincere service to her Guru in that role, in that place.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And you said nice sentence, like when you value the master. So what was the next part?
Valuing the master means mastering the values that the master has taught. Don't just value the master. You can write like this. Don't just value the master, but master the value that he has taught. That is real glorification, real following of in the footsteps of Guru. Not just we say Jai Prabhupada, but then we are not willing to accommodate, we are not willing to sacrifice or try to help others come to Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very, very inspiring.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Very, very nice. We explain everything and inspiring.
I'm trying to follow.
Thank you.
Try to share what.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for the beautiful class. Is there anybody having any questions for Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams, a very inspiring class, like Radha Mataji said. I just have one question. Maybe it has already been addressed earlier. I was just wondering, like, you know, I mean, technically, or speaking in one sense, Prithu and Arshi may be considered as, you know, born of the same, you know, parent or like that.
Yes.
And also the other example is that of Yajna and Dakshina. They were also siblings. So it's a little bewildering to me. I'm sure there is more behind it. Can you explain how we can understand this relationship?
Well, there are some rules that are on the Earth planet that are not necessarily valid on another. Well, Prabhupada gives examples. Say traffic rules are there. There is red signal here, but the flights have different rules. Same way, the rules in the heavenly worlds is different, or for those that are like this verse comes that Shiva can drink poison, but we can try to imitate that. So even if you see Saraswati, who is the wife of Brahma, Saraswati was born of Brahmaji, but she is the wife of Brahma. But these are all examples where we understand that they are in a realm that we cannot try to imitate. But neither are they propagating these things, or there is a rampant doing of this. So both Yajna and Dakshina and Prithu and Archi and Brahma and Saraswati. So these are some stand-up examples that you cannot imitate these great souls, what their activities are. Some things we just understand that it is just even with like Draupadi and the 5 Pandavas. That it's an extreme example to see that in some situations some things are allowed because they can handle it, and we don't know the whole story. Even I am not, at least for Draupadi there are commentaries by Madhvacharya that has given clarification about that. But these other things that you have listed, we just understand, yes it is, but I don't understand currently. That's what Krishna says, Ascharyavat Tataiva Chanya. That some things are very surprising, that because the spiritual matters, not everything can be grasped. As Gauranga Prabhu, sometimes when I ask questions to him, he says that every question has a price to pay, and if you can't pay the price to it, you can't really understand. So maybe these things are not clarified by our acharyas. I have not read yet, so these are beyond our understanding. But at least they are not propagated in any of the scriptures that this is something that is to be followed. So that much is clear. These are some examples that don't follow into the regular norm, but yes, they are different than what is usually understood.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for that clarification. I just had one other question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
In all the examples we read of the chaste wives and things like that, we see that the woman is actually supposed to serve her husband in whatever needs they need to do for their husband. Like for example, here she followed him into the forest and served him in that. Though he was literally subsisting on, very few things, he didn't need much, like that. So if we go through the scriptures, it is mentioned that a wife must dutifully serve her husband, but I don't find a particular reference to the fact that a wife must restrict herself to only the kitchen. or like must only restrict herself to like more of like a domestic kind of the image that is generally painted of the wife. So
Yes,
I mean,
that's a wrong, limited understanding. That even if whenever I went to villages, I never saw any lady that was just in the kitchen. They are equal partners to whatever the husband was doing. If the husband was weaving saris, the wife equally knew that art and she was doing equally. If the husband was a farmer, she was equally there with the husband helping him. But she had a particular focus and the husband had a particular focus. So this that the wife, the woman can't have any other skills when they're just limited to this is a not proper Vedic understanding. Never taught all the types of skills.
Yeah, I do
Whatever
hear
was
like,
inspired to them.
sorry Prabhu, I interrupted. Were you saying something?
Yeah. I was saying that there are some kinds of works or skills that don't limit, don't come in the way of the feminine nature that is there in women. But especially today's day, the way the kind of jobs are there, they really that soft nature, that caring nature is really interrupted. They have to be aggressive or they are, so then that becomes a difficult thing. It becomes a power struggle. But the way the Vedic times, that they had a place to to help the husband in ways that don't stop any their particular their core dharma of being a lady. Within that there was so many more, but you can do anything and everything wasn't also allowed, but you cannot do nothing was also not there.
Sure, Prabhu. Thanks for the clear explanation. Like you very nicely explained, like a Brahminical wife would assist her husband in those Brahminical pursuits, and maybe a Shudra's wife would assist her husband in those.
That. Yes.
In that, and a mercantile class, perhaps the wife would take care of some aspect of business. I mean, from my understanding, what I get is that everything was done together as a team, as a whole family. In fact, they passed
it was
on.
A team. Even in Krishna book, you read that the gopis used to go and sell the butter. The gopas used to go and graze the cows in the forest, which is a difficult task because the women have to leave their house, the cooking and the kids. But then the gopis used to go and sell the butter in the marketplace. Even now you see in the marketplaces, who sells the vegetables? Even that lady that came selling fruits, it was her job. She was doing that, but it was never stopping. It was never an interference to her core dharma. But now it has like we are trying to equate both of them. So that's what creates so in the Vedic world we see that both were equally contributing to society and to the family structure.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your clarification, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there any question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I do have one more question, Prabhuji. Do you have some time?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji. So, at Pritha Maharaj's time, he was able to actually take the decision and go to the forest, leave his family and everyone back, leave the palace and go to the forest. Nowadays, we continue to remain in the house even after retirement, after we grow older. And then as we are staying, our responsibilities are also increasing, right? So if you have children, you have to take care of the children, then you have to take care of the grandchildren, you have to be around for all of them and do various other activities. So like what you were just saying, that we should not restrict ourselves from all of the responsibilities. How do we maintain a good balance? Because that is the time when we need to focus on our own spiritual growth and improving our consciousness and trying to get back to where we should.
The Vanaprastha stage is with an understanding that the person has gone through the brahmacharya stage. If you have not done some activity before in your younger years, later you suddenly are put into a forest, you won't be able to survive. If you are in the Himalayas sometime, then it's like, say, I guess some of you have grown up in India. Now for you to come back to India at a later stage and pick up back things is much easier than somebody who has never come to India, has grown up all his life in US, and suddenly at old age he comes and he says, hey, there's no facilities like there. So they go back. Even you find children, once after a certain age, if they come to India, they can't really accept. So the Vanaprastha, the leaving of the home, was with the understanding that that person has that capacity to and he understands the know-hows of how to do when they go to the forest. But now we cannot do that because there is no forest left, nor can we have such kind of like even this stipulation that when you go to any yatra, you don't carry anything, you just depend on God. But the culture was supporting. So an activity kind of has to be supported by the culture around, because the culture in those days was that you actually find travelers and feed them. But if you find a traveler, if you find the grastas, call out and see if there is any traveler, anybody around, then you feed. So there was no need to carry any food because the culture was supporting. But now when the culture doesn't support the systems, so the main thing is to focus on Krishna. So the best thing that is to be done is what Jadvat Maharaj was saying, that if you can intermittently take breaks from your household things, especially as you're getting old, and go for yatra or stay in the temple, or try to see that how much is your dependence still in that same zone, or is it shifting to Krishna. So you have to keep testing yourself with short periods of outing, and then as you see that yes, I'm still stuck, I need to, and then when a person has to be honest, it's not that everybody has to take Vanaprastha. Something perfection can be attained even in not that ultimate perfection, but there are so many more lives that are there. If in this life you are not able to take a step, it is not banned that either this life you perfect or it is gone. That you try to pick up pace, but then if you find no, the situation I am in, it is too difficult. This is not considering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is that overrides all these things. Then one person is honest that Krishna, that in my situation, just like Dhruva Maharaj, he was honest with his capacity and with what his desires were. And then he was working. Then he sincerely followed, and that repentant heart purifies a person much more than somebody who just externally does with arrogance. So if one cannot do penance, then at least repentance has to be cultivated. in one's. Therefore, confession, that is in Christianity so much emphasized, and of course now it has become diluted. But it's a very important aspect in almost all the devotees' lives, that there was severe, intense repentance for their material absorption, which often we don't cultivate, or we kind of have a good memories of all the sinful life we had. Sometimes we speak out of pride that how fallen I was, without actually having a repentance that these were all fallen activities. So one either does regular outings and yatras or temple services to change the situation and see that am I really connected to Krishna, or only in this way I was having that kind of connection. And another is to be honest with what is one's situation, and there are so many more situations, and we hope for grace, if we hope for mercy, we have a repentant heart about our, not that we punish ourselves, but we just accept that this is where I am and I need to work more, and a honest estimation of our inner situation, and be willing to accept that ourselves, be willing to reveal that kind of position to our mentors, is a very important step to advance in bhakti. But often we try to fool ourselves, as this verse says, savanchita. We try to fool ourselves, no, I can, because we all want to show a very good picture to ourselves and others about our devotional status, whereas it is in a very pathetic situation. So one can be honest, and that honest state will definitely please Krishna much more than just externally doing something. Okay, Madhuri, hopefully this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So 3 things. One is repenting, and the other is going and trying it out every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you, Prabhuji, once again for such a beautiful class. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, once again for such a beautiful class and very nice question answer session. If there is no more question, we would like to end the call here. We are offering obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaiva cha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Braj Mohan Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class.
Very good.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.